Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're excited for game week. It'll be fun to watch a lot of veteran guys play that are excited about getting this season started, and then all the new guys that are going to have an opportunity to play out at the Bill for the first time. We have a number of young players that we feel are getting better and just need those game experience reps. So I think we'll play an awful lot of guys. Partly because of injury and partly because we just want to find out more about people, especially on special teams. And we know this is going to be a really good football game. Coach Tuke does a great job at SEMO. I've known about his program in SEMO for a long time, and they're a playoff team perennially in the FCS. They're probably the best team in the OVC this year, and they have really good talent. So we've got to play exceptional football to give ourselves an opportunity to be successful, and that's the key for us. Is we've got to continue to push these young guys because they need to show up and play well on Saturday.
Yeah, your roster, your depth chart, a lot of young guys on it.
Yeah.
Are you even thinking about red shirt concerns at all? Just play who needs to play.
Not at all. Fitz, not. We haven't talked to anybody yet to say, hey, you're going to red shirt. There's probably some known names that are O linemen, D linemen that need that year of development, and there's a lot of positions that we're probably going to need to play. Just because of the depth and because of us learning more about guys and. Some guys were here in the spring that gives them an advantage, and other guys like Asa Newsom just showed up in June but was mature enough to get into the depth chart, and we're excited about those type of players because with the long haul of the season, you're going to need all of them.
COVID bonus year has been a great benefit, but now you look across your offensive line, you got a bunch of dudes that won't be here next year in all likelihood, and you've got some of that on defense too. Is it also trying to get those guys worked in because you're going to need them next season big time?
I don't care about next season, Fitz. Come on now.
He doesn't care about next season.
Well, boy, tell you what, that's a tough question for me to answer on August 2024. I'm excited for those guys to come back, but more importantly for the Sam Hex and Andrew Line gangs, some of those guys to learn, Hadley even still, to learn from those guys how to prepare and what to expect and how to dominate at this level. And so I tell all those young guys, this is what a bonus this is to have those guys back because they're not going to be back, to make sure that they learn as much as they can from them. And really more than anything is their preparation.
You had some guys that didn't show up on the depth chart like Uso and Duff. I mean, is it just a temporary thing with them?
Yeah,
and
we don't have anybody out long term. Duffy's the one that I know is not going to play on Saturday, and we hope to have him back in the next couple weeks. And whether or not that is Troy, whether or not that's Missouri, it's going to be depending on how he continues to progress. Uso is going to practice today, and I was not thinking that he would. So we'll see how he can progress. He's been out a couple of weeks, so we'll see what he can do. But it's good to have him back at practice today. Daniel Green practiced yesterday. Keegan practiced yesterday. So we're gaining more and more bodies back, which we need, just because some of those guys haven't practiced for a little bit. We've got to continue to work on our depth, but also have to get some of these young guys ready to play significant roles.
I noticed Seth Porter on special teams, but not with the receivers. Is that just a
biggest thing? Is Seth was another one of those guys that's been banged up quite a bit through camp. He's in the mix at wide receiver for sure. I think maybe when we did the depth chart, it was hopeful that Seth could be a part of special teams, if nothing else, because that's his biggest role right now for us. Especially the fact that he was banged up. But Seth practiced yesterday, and I didn't think Seth would practice yesterday. We had our last real hard practice on Friday. We had a lighter practice on Saturday, gave him off Sunday, and then we see him for the first time on Monday night. And Seth practiced pretty well yesterday, so he'll probably have a more significant role in both teams and on offense.
With the new clock rules, we saw a little bit of it last week, how teams approached it. But what's your philosophy with the extra time running off after first downs? Do you see yourself going faster because of it, slower because of it, or no change?
I don't see any change. I think we'll see how it plays itself out here over these first few weeks. But I don't see us changing. I mean, I know that games are going to be a little bit shorter, but I don't know how much shorter they're going to truly be when you add all the replays and everything else that you have. So we'll have to play it by ear each week to see how it's changed the game.
You've got a revamped secondary with 3/5 of the positions. SEMO's pretty experienced with its quarterback and wideouts, Flournoy and Vic.
Yep.
What's the challenge present to you guys coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, they have really good skill players, really good running back, a number of good wide receivers, and a quarterback that's back that I thought played really well last year for them. We're going to learn a lot about our guys in the secondary. Whether it's Jacob Parrish that's played a decent amount of football for us, but now is in a starting role, to Will Lee that hasn't, to Keenan Garber that did in the Big 12 championship game, and now he's getting a great chance to play at corner. I mean, those three guys are going to really be tested. We have to be able to rush a passer. Are we going to be allowed to rush a passer? Are they going to be a lot more quick game? Are they going to be a lot more sprint out? How are they going to try to be efficient throwing the football? Because we're going to try to lay our ears back and try to rush those guys too. I mean, we need to get Khalid Duke and Brendan Mott and Nate Matlock rolling. And then the safety position, Kobe Savage, just having him back gives us such great leadership back there and a calming force as far as he's an all Big 12 performer, and for him to be back 100% playing really, really fast, he'll kind of direct a lot of the traffic back there. But I'm excited to see VJ Payne. He's going to play a new position this year. To see Siegel, to see Colby McAllister. There's a number of guys back there. Jordan Wright's going to play a different position, and they're all really good athletes. They're all really good players, but they just don't have the experience yet.
Heard a lot about USO through the summer and fall. What have you seen from Ilalio and Banks that kind of?
Well, when USO went down, those two kids took the lion's share of the reps, and Damian is prepared and ready to go. He's watched Eli, for a couple of years, and when his number was called, I don't care if it was a couple plays, he was always ready to go. So Damian's had a really good fall camp. Banks is learning how to do things our way, but he's a disruptive guy inside. I've been really impressed with Javon. I think he's going to have a tremendous year. And splitting time in there with Damian, and then however much Uso can help us early on in the season. But those two guys, last year Eli was going to take 80% of the reps. This year we don't have to have that. We can move guys around and keep those guys fresh.
And with Tennant, we've seen his leg strength. What level of confidence has he shown in the last few weeks?
Been really impressed with Chris. He's had a great camp. He's got a great focus, got a great mindset on things. I see a more relaxed guy, and he's kicking the ball really well. But I just see a guy with confidence, with belief that, he had a hiccup last year. He knows his ability. We all know his ability. Everybody on the team knows his ability. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for Chris, and I'm excited for Jack Bloomer. I mean, those two guys, Jack kicked a lot in 2020. Didn't kick as much when Ty was really banging it in the last couple of years, but Jack came back for his 6th year, and he's punted the ball really, really well all through fall camp. And I think it helps when you got a guy like Randon that you know where the ball is going to be. So even though you lost Ty Zentner, I'm excited about our specialist group.
Is there an item or a phase of your team that you're kind of most intrigued to see for the first time when you guys were out there on Saturday?
Secondary and receivers. Those are the two areas that, everybody wants to see the running backs. I think DJ Giddens is ready to roll. and I know Trayshawn is too. Just our wide receivers. I think R.J. Garcia's had a tremendous fall camp, and you talk about confidence and belief. That guy's made play after play after play, and he knows our offense really well, and he's on the same page with Will. But I'm excited to see he and Keegan and Jaden Jackson and Phillip's going to be there. He's always been that steady phase, and then or steady force for us, and then just the secondary, how we respond.
Is there a plan, or do you know what your approach will be with the backup quarterback situation out of the gate?
We'll play it out. We don't have a plan. Will Howard, and then whoever's the next one that CK is ready to go with.
Going off that a little bit, have you had a situation where, I know he was here for spring, a true freshman come in and work his way to being an oar for the second string for quarterback?
Easton Stick was when we had him up at NDSU, and he's with the Chargers now, so rightfully so. Avery's done a really good job of being here in the spring and learning as much as he can, and learning from Will and learning from Rubes, and just is having a really good fall camp. And so is Rubley, and Jake missed a handful of days about a week ago that maybe gave Avery some more reps for us to see more and more of Avery. But then Rubes is back healthy, practiced last few days, and doing some really good things. So we feel really comfortable at the quarterback spots. We feel like that everybody knows that Will is the guy, but both the other two are competing every day for the number 2 job, and we'll just see how it plays out. I can't tell you how it will work. If something happened to Will, who would go in? It's something that CK and I are really talking about on a daily basis.
What has impressed you most about Asa Newsome since he got to campus?
Maturity. He's a competitor. He grew up in a family that had a lot of great athletes and coaching, with his dad experienced coaching track for decades. That he's built for this moment. And is he going to make some mistakes? You bet. He's not Austin Moore yet. And the greatest thing is Asa knows that. And so he's learning every day. And my hat's off to somebody like Austin Moore that takes the time, is very patient, to just keep preaching everything to him and keep spoon feeding him as much as he can, because Austin knows how much we need Asa to be effective, and Asa will be on some special teams and he'll play defense. I mean, if we had a 70-play game, Austin's not going to play all 70 plays, so Asa's going to play.
Believe it or not, it's been 270 days since you won the Big 12 championship.
I'm glad you're here to give me that nugget, because I would have never guessed. I would have thought it would have been 40 days ago. Yeah.
And sometimes it just seems like, it was a few weeks ago. We all know the rankings, and we all know, the target on the back. What is the mindset of this team right now?
Not to listen to the media. Because, I mean, there's a lot of great expectations out there, and I appreciate all you guys throwing those high expectations on those guys, because they've earned the right because of what they did last year. But now we have to go prove it on the field, and there's a lot of guys that hear of those expectations and hear of what was done and haven't done anything yet. That are in our 2 deep or are starting that haven't played for us yet. And so for those guys, of gaining that experience and watching the older guy in front of them, how he prepares throughout this week, how he prepares on Friday, how he prepares himself on Saturday like a pro to be successful. And so, I mean, there's high expectations, and we now are just focused in, because we're in game week, to eliminate those distractions of high expectations and focus on what we have to do every day to be successful, to give us a chance to be successful on Saturday.
I just spoke with Brendan Mott's father out there a little bit ago. Here's an Iowa guy, a walk-on starter.
Yeah.
When you think of Brandon, just what comes to mind?
Skinny kid from Iowa that came in here, that wanted an opportunity, and I know his best friends for life are on this team, and I watched him continue to get better and better. Last year we knew he was ready to contribute, and not only did he contribute, he was one of our best players on defense. And so I saw his confidence grow, and I see his leadership growing, and he plays the game hard, and he plays the game physical, and he's a really smart football player, and he's helping, the Jordan Allens, the Cheaties, the Ryan David. He's helping those guys because he was once that young player too. And so I think Mott can have an all-conference type season.
As far as offensive line chemistry, obviously is important, but last year you were breaking in a lot of new guys. But the fact that those guys are all back, does that make it easier now to maybe work some of the younger guys in because they've
Yeah, well, it's created some unique situations and some competition for us because we don't have Duff right now. And so Carver Willis will start at right tackle. Now, how is Riles going to mix and match to get Liney in the game, to get Sam Hecht in the game, to get TP in the game? I mean, those guys jump at me right now of guys that we want to play, but somebody then has got to go over to right tackle. Is that Liney? Is it Beebs? Those are things that I know that we're ironing out every day, and we're continuing to mix those guys around to find what best five work together and in what position they work together. So it's been, it's great to have all those guys back, but when you're down one of the guys that's been a 3-year starter for you, it creates a little bit of opportunities for some other guys, whether it's Liney, Sam Hecht, to step up and get an opportunity. Same as Carver.
And what does right guard look like now? I think you listed both.
Yeah, both of them are going to play a bunch, and that's also where one of those guys could move over to left guard if we moved Beebe out to right tackle a little bit. Sam Hecht could play center or guard, and so that we feel like we have more depth inside. Our depth outside becomes Cooper Beebe until we get Duff back, and we're hoping that's in the near future here.
Also wanted to ask about the wide receivers behind Phil.
Yeah.
I think Jace Brown and the other Porter.
Yeah.
Was that more consequence of Seth being out, or have they?
Probably as much as anything. Seth had taken the lion's share of the reps behind Phil, and then we lost Seth for, I can't tell you if it's been a week or 10 days of practice. And so it gave those other guys an opportunity, whether it's Shane, whether it's Seth or Shane or Jace, even Sterling Lockett. We've given a lot of guys some looks there. And as Seth gets back healthy, I think that'll be solidified. But, the more reps those guys get, we're hopeful. It's like Phillip needs to be able to play multiple positions. Keegan needs to be able to play multiple positions. RJ needs to be able to play multiple positions so that we can plug those young kids in. Spivey's another guy that we're looking at too.
You touched on it very briefly, but the challenges the SEMO offense, what do they present?
Experienced quarterback and playmakers and skill outside. That's and a running back that has been productive for a while. And so, the RPO game, the run pass option, they do a tremendous job. They're going to get their guys the ball in space and let them operate. It's an experienced offense. It's an experienced staff. They've been together for a long time. And our big thing is they're going to complete some passes. They're going to have some runs. We have to try to eliminate the explosive play. That's the big thing is we can't let somebody have a 3-play, 70-yard drive. If they're going to drive at 70, it's got to take them 10, 12 plays and make them earn it. And that's something that we've emphasized and talked about because I didn't think we were great last year. And Klanderman would echo in red zone scoring. We need to – people are going to move the ball. There's great offenses in all levels of college football. You just – when they get in the red zone, you got to be able to make them kick field goals.
Hey, Chris, 2 questions. Linebacker, you've got Daniel, you've got Austin, so 2 big-time veterans. But are you as complete at that position as you've been since you've been here?
Yeah, and the reason we are, I would say, is everybody's going to now put Des Purnell with those 2 guys. Des Purnell is had as good a fall as any kid we've had in the program as far as, owning his position. There's an undisputed, he is the Sam backer, and the plays that he's made, the confidence he has, he knows the defense. I mean, I'm excited because we have bookend Sam and Will linebackers that know our defense as well as anybody in Austin and Dez. And then who's the next guy? Jake Clifton might be the biggest unsung hero because he's played all three positions already in fall camp. He's played Sam, Mike, and Will, and he did that last year as a true freshman. It shows you how smart a player he is. He might have to play all three positions this year. And we're repping him at all three positions. And then, we have a lot of young players behind those guys.
The one I wanted to ask about was Toby, where he was when he got here to where he is now.
Light years better. He's not on the level of Dez, just like Ace is not on the level of Austin, but they're improving all the time. And we need to play him and see where he's at. There's some things that he does really, really well, and there's some things that he's still working on and still learning. But he's also a redshirt freshman, but that's what excites us is, there's a big, strong athlete that can really run, that is physical, and he's going to make some mistakes, but he's going to make some plays as well because of his athleticism.
One other question for me, the mantra, win the day. How have you seen this team win the day? What are you most proud of when you look at them?
Just the fact that fall camp's a grind. I mean, it is 21 days of, getting up at 6 a.m. and going to bed at 10 p.m. and we have them pretty much all that time other than a couple-hour nap of not having a bad day. And winning every day is the fact of, and I told him, you're gonna get beat on a play. You're gonna have a bad period. The defense is gonna kick the offense's butt, or vice versa. But we cannot afford in this 21 days to have a bad day, and that's not only physically, but it's emotionally and mentally. And they came to practice every day, and that was probably the best thing. And it's something that, they should come to. Well, it's been 103 here the last 2 weeks too, and we're going to have that same temperature for the next couple weeks. That you got to block out all the distractions and outside noise of weather and hot and stuff, and take care of your body every day, and be prepared to go to work every day.
Is any extra encouragement needed as far as not overlooking, or is football mindset so ingrained on these guys at this point?
Both. You're going to talk about the fact that we've got, whether it's Marquis Siegel played at that level and played pretty well, and now he's a starter for us. So there's really good football players, and they've seen the Josh Hayeses and the Briley Moores and so on and so forth. So there's really good players at that level, but also the fact of, we got to focus on us. We got to focus on, who is that next linebacker in the game? Who is that next safety that's going to step up? Who are the handful of core guys on special teams that are going to take over the Nick Allen roles, that guys that were just mainstays that were going to take all those snaps. I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out over the next 3 weeks, honestly, in the non-conference season, is who are we going to count on so that we don't have to play Austin Moore and Des Purnell on every special team snap, because you can't play them on every snap when it's 103 degrees out. So are you ready to answer that opportunity when you get it? And we talked a lot this fall camp about, your opportunity. I don't know when it's going to come, but when it does come, you better be prepared and not be, oh, wow, it's my chance. I hope I prepared. No, you are prepared.
Going back to the first question about red shirts, how much has your philosophy changed on that issue from now compared to when you first got this job?
Quite a bit, just because of roster management, it has to. There weren't as many people coming and going in college football in general, and I think a lot of coaches would tell you that. And if they're mature enough and physical enough to play early, then you probably have to play them early. Not that they would leave as much as this is a physical game, and what happens when you don't play that kid that's a true freshman that could have played, and then his redshirt freshman year he has a bad injury, and you could have played him, and now he's lost 2 years. Now he's 2 years behind the game. So I think a lot of coaches are going into that with, kids are physically more ready to play coming out of high school, but it's still the mental part of it, making sure that they can understand what your team is doing schematically, offense, defense, and teams.
also wanted to ask one about the running backs when it comes to DJ and Trayshawn and maybe even Anthony, somebody else. What's the perfect way in your mind to divvy up carries in game one?
It's a good question. It's just going to depend on how the flow of the game's going. I'm going to let BA handle that. Brian, I think, is one of the best running back coaches in college football, and BA's done this a long time. And whether it's hot hand, whether it's the plays we're calling, Brian's got a great feel for what these guys really do. And you're right. There's a number of guys that can carry the football and protect and catch the ball out of the backfield. And so I'll leave that to BA, but BA's got a good plan for it.